last night's game between the Tennessee Titans and the Buffalo Bills, really good game. It came down to the wire. Buffalo goes for it, 4th and 1, 22 seconds left. You and I both believe they should have kicked the field goal and then see what they do in overtime. They're not a very good red zone team. Their red zone efficiency rate is 26th in the league. And
there you go, Chris.
Yep. And, I let Ephraim speak. We didn't get a chance to get totally into it. And, Rob, there were 22 seconds left when they went for it. So if you get it, Rob G, what they have, one timeout left?
No timeouts.
Or was it one timeout? They had one timeout left. So you didn't have a lot of time to play with, Rob. Because now you got a new set of downs unless you
probably would have only had one other play, Chris.
Right.
Unless it was an incomplete pass in the end zone or whatever. You know what I mean? But other than that, I think when you look at the AFC and some of these teams and where they are, you don't want to give up a game if you don't have to. That's all I'm saying. I would have taken my chances in overtime.
Well, Rob, you know what, too? The league has been in effect for now, 101 years. It's 101st season. For the first 99 years, you kick the field goal.
Right.
Do you think that's fair? Because this is all pure analytics. And I get it. Sometimes it makes sense, right? You've seen teams, they're going for it a lot more on 4th down. It does add some excitement, and sometimes it's a smart move. So I'm not poo-pooing going for it on 4th, but I'm just saying that, you live to see another day, and the day would have been right away in overtime. So, but we agree on that. But the story of the game outside of that last sequence was Derrick Henry, Rob. And you and I grew up in a time when this might be shocking, even for people Rob G's age, Rob, but certainly for the younger, the 15 to 25-year-olds and all
right.
that. We grew up in a time when the glamour position in the NFL was running back.
Not that quarterbacks weren't big, but
right.
There were star running backs who were as big, if not bigger. Barry Sanders, Chris, you could talk about Barry Sanders, Emmitt Smith, and all the even back to your Steelers Franco Harris.
Jim Brown.
Was a big time
O.J.
star.
Simpson.
Yes.
Earl Campbell at that time. So you're right. I mean, obviously you had huge quarterbacks. Roger Staubach, Terry Bradshaw. Yeah, right. We're not saying they weren't. But it was probably even, would you say?
More so.
As far as what was the face of the game,
yes.
It was the running back and the quarterback.
And it depended on what team, Chris, you were talking about, which guy would get top billing.
Right.
Barry Sanders was top billing for the Lions. They no matter who was the quarterback, who was the biggest guy there, was Barry Sanders.
And we often saw running backs drafted. The best running back was the first pick in the draft. Now, I will say this. A great running back, and I think teams have gotten somewhat smart. A great running back doesn't mean you're going to have a great team. And they figured that out now. O.J. Simpson, Rob, played in one playoff game.
Right.
And he was
great
as
in
good
Buffalo.
as it gets.
Great.
Right. Barry Sanders, what did he play in? 3?
Yep.
3 playoff games.
They were in the NFC Championship game Chris, they got one playoff win since 1957. They beat the Dallas Cowboys with Emmett and Michael Irvin and Troy Aikman in 1991. That was it, Chris. You know what I mean? They beat them.
Eric Dickerson, arguably the best ever to do it, to carry the ball. And he didn't win a ring, didn't win a Super Bowl. He did play in 7 playoff games, but never won a Super Bowl. So I get that, but still, it was a day where the running backs ruled, or at least reigned, right next to the quarterbacks. And Derrick Henry's a throwback, Rob. They used to get it 25 to 30 times. The dope running backs, they get it 25 to 30 times a game, and they'd run for over 100 yards.
Yep.
And now in Derrick Henry, you have really the last one standing. Even Zeke is not like him. Nick Chubb is great, but Nick Chubb still shares the backfield, right, with Kareem Hunt.
No, Derrick Henry's a one-man show,
yep.
And he is the focal point of that whole team, and he is a real, you just said it, a throwback to what we were accustomed to, and they've gotten away from it because this is just a throw-happy league now.
Yep.
And everything is throwing the ball, just everything. And that's why all these quarterbacks, Chris, who aren't that great are shattering the numbers of quarterbacks who were really good. Troy Aikman,
legends.
Right, who are passed up by so few also ran journeymen.
Ryan Fitzpatrick.
Right.
His numbers, at least touchdowns, are better than Troy Aikman. So, but here's the thing. So here's the question, Rob. Because the last running back to win the MVP award was Adrian Peterson in 2012. And he ran for over 2,000 yards. He didn't break the record. The all-time record is Eric Dickerson, 2,105 yards in a season. That was 1984. Now, for what it's worth, Dickerson did not win the MVP that year. But that was really only because Dan Marino, it was like he came from another planet that year. Right? The first quarterback, Rob, to throw for 5,000 yards.
No, he was unbelievable. Do you know who the first quarterback to throw for 4,000 yards?
Give me a hint.
Yeah,
Give me a hint.
This is why he's in the Hall of Fame, because his numbers, it's because of this. Joe Namath, Chris. Joe Namath was the first to throw for 4,000 yards. So when you look at Namath's numbers, you go,
you
how's he in the Hall of Fame? Right. You're like, his numbers aren't that great. But
you cringe.
First to throw for 4,000, and B, the guarantee that the Jets would be, and the Baltimore Colts were like 15-point favorites. Like it was like JV versus varsity as far as the Colts versus the AFL's Jets, Right. And the Jets wind up winning that
it was
Super
like a USFL team beating the NFL champion, right?
And it helped
and then
the
they
merger.
forced the merger. Yep. Exactly. Well, here you mentioned Namath's numbers, Rob. Are you ready for this? Do you know his touchdown to interception situation?
I bet you had more interceptions than touchdowns. I'm just kidding.
Not only more, 47 more.
Wow. See, that's
he threw
what I'm
173 touchdowns and 220 interceptions. Only a 50% completion percentage. But again, for all you young kids that are going to run around saying, Joe's name is stunk.
No.
It was a different game. Quarterbacks could get clobbered back then.
What year did he do the 4,000? Do you have that?
1967.
Yeah, they weren't throwing the ball like that. That was huge.
Right. And that was, as you mentioned, in the AFL.
Right.
That was in the AFL. Yeah. But, so.
A lot of young listeners, they don't even realize there was two leagues.
Right. But, so the question is this, Rob. And right now, Derrick Henry's on pace to break Eric Dickerson's single-season record. He's on pace to run for 2,218 yards. So he would break the record. Now, again, Rob, it's 17 games, which could hurt him because he's not on pace to break it in 16. So let's keep that in mind.
That's not going to count for me. I'm sorry.
17 games? Well, no, I agree. I think that's going to hurt him. If he breaks it and he breaks it in 17 games, people are going to be like, okay, you got the record, but it's not the same.
If he
breaks it in 16, it's different. He's also on pace quickly to tie LaDainian Tomlinson's all-time single-season touchdown rushing record, 28. He would break it in 17 or tie it in 17, but wouldn't break it in 16.
There were people who tried to discount Hank Aaron when he broke Babe Ruth's record. Babe Ruth played 154. Baseball was 154 games, and baseball turned into 162. Right? So they're saying, well, he had more games than Babe. The only problem is that Hank Aaron actually did it, Chris, in less at-bats than Babe Ruth.
Wow, okay.
You know what I mean? So you can't take the record from him.
Right.
Or say or put any kind of asterisk or say it ain't legit. He had less at-bats.
Right.
Period.
That's a great point. And the thing is, and you know this, right, over time, and you're right, well, if Henry breaks it in 17 games, initially it's going to be like, you'll give him credit. He had a fantastic year, but it won't feel like, he did it in 16. But over time, we'll just get used to it, right? And the next generation will be like, that's the all-time leading rusher in a single season. But here's what I want to throw at you, Rob. Do you believe he's got a legitimate chance to win the MVP?
It seems like I should just say no, because I know Ephraim we had on earlier, Ephraim Salam said, no, it ain't happening. It would take something very extraordinary, or Chris, where it could happen this way. Either he's off the charts, or there are 3 quarterbacks who are so good that they split the vote. Do you know what I'm saying?
Well, yeah, but here's the problem with that. They would split a vote with a running back, too. You know what I mean? Like, it's not like people are voting by position.
No, I know, but I'm saying, like, if there's no clear-cut quarterback, the votes might get split up. So say, I'm just throwing it out, Lamar gets 4, Justin Herbert gets 4, okay? Aaron Rodgers gets 4, Patrick Mahomes gets 4, and Derrick Henry gets 5.
Okay, I hear you.
That's what I'm talking about. Like that's how it could happen.
Right. No, that's fair. That's fair. I think, like you said, number one, he'd have to be extraordinary. He probably does have to break the record, even if it's just 17 games instead of 16. But I think, Rob, also no quarterback, and maybe this plays right into what you said, no quarterback can have a spectacular year. Because if a quarterback has a spectacular year, he's going to win it. Like right now, Tom Brady's on pace to throw for 6,000 yards.
Right.
And we've looked at their schedule. It's not that tough. If he throws for 6,000 yards, 45 touchdowns, and and they're 14 and 3,
then he'll win.
Right. He's going to win.
I agree with you.
But if no quarterback, obviously you're going to have quarterbacks who have great years. But if none does anything like historic, and Henry does, he's got a shot. He's got a shot. And they got to keep winning, too. They're 4-2 after a slow start to the season. So